3 weeks after their first contact with Torvek, the Persistence received an official message from the highest levels of the Galactic Empire. Captain Deho gathered his entire crew in the main meeting room to hear it together. The message came from Supreme Chancellor Quindara herself, the current leader of the Empire. Her voice was calm and diplomatic, but Deho could hear the concern underneath. Captain Deho and crew of the human vessel Persistence, I am Supreme Chancellor Quindara. After reviewing the reports of your encounters with Imperial forces, the High Council has decided to make you an unprecedented offer. Dr. So Young and Wu Jin exchanged glances. An offer from the Supreme Chancellor was either very good news or very bad news. Humanity will be granted special status within the Empire. You will be allowed to maintain your current technology and cultural practices while receiving the protection and benefits of Imperial membership. In return, you will share your technological innovations with the Empire and accept guidance in their proper application. Yi Jin whispered to Tae Young. They want our technology, but they still want to control how we use it, the Chancellor continued. This offer is made in recognition of humanity's unique capabilities and peaceful intentions. No other species in Imperial history has been granted such autonomy. You have 72 hours to accept this generous proposal. The message ended, and the crew sat in silence for several minutes. Finally, Kyung Ho, their security chief, spoke up. Captain, maybe we should consider it. We could work to change the Empire from the inside. That's what they want us to think, Heejin replied. But look at what happened to every other species that joined the Empire. They all started with special deals and ended up exactly the same as everyone else. Dr. So Young had been thinking about the problem from a scientific perspective. The Empire's offer is based on the assumption that we want what they have. But do we? What do you mean? Deho asked. Think about what the Empire offers: safety, stability, guaranteed peace. Those are good things, but they come at the cost of growth, discovery, and freedom to choose. Is that trade worth making? Wu Jin had been studying human history during their time in space. Captain, humans have always chosen freedom over safety when forced to pick between them. It's what makes us human. But this isn't just about us, Subin pointed out. If we refuse, what happens to all the aliens who want change? What happens to Torvek and his fellow scientists? What happens to future human explorers who come out here? Added in Young. If we set the precedent that humans bow to Imperial authority, every human ship that follows will be expected to do the same. Captain Deho had been listening to his crew debate for an hour. These young people had volunteered for humanity's first interstellar mission, but they had become something much more important: humanity's first ambassadors to the galaxy. Whatever decision they made would define humanity's relationship with alien civilizations for generations. I want to hear from everyone, Deho said. This decision is too important for one person to make alone. One by one, each crew member gave their opinion. Some thought they should accept the Empire's offer and try to change things slowly. Others believed they should reject it completely and help the secret scientists openly. A few suggested trying to find a compromise, but as they talked, a consensus began to emerge. Humanity had something the galaxy had lost: the courage to face uncertainty. If they gave that up for Imperial protection, they would lose the very thing that made them valuable. I think I know what we should do, Tae Young said quietly. But it's not what the Empire expects. What do you mean? Deho asked. We don't accept their offer and we don't reject it either. We give them a third option, which is, we show them there's another way to live. Dr. So Young's eyes lit up with understanding. A demonstration instead of a confrontation. Exactly. We find an unclaimed system at the edge of the galaxy and start a human colony, not to challenge the Empire, but to show what's possible when people are free to grow and learn. Hyejin was already thinking about the technical aspects. We could use our technology to terraform a planet and create a completely sustainable colony in a few years. And we make it open to anyone, Wu Jin added. Any alien who wants to learn and grow and try new things would be welcome. It would be a beacon, In Young said excitedly. Proof that innovation and cooperation can work together. Captain Deho looked around the room at his crew. They were no longer talking like explorers or even ambassadors. They were talking like founders of a new civilization. Are you all sure about this? Once we do this, there's no going back. We'll never be just Earth explorers again. Captain, Subin said with a smile, we stopped being just explorers the moment we met our first aliens. Now we have a chance to be something better. Teachers. 3 days later, Captain Day-Ho sent humanity's response to the Empire. But instead of sending it just to the Supreme Chancellor, he broadcast it on every frequency the Persistence could reach, ensuring that every species in the galaxy would hear it. This is Captain Day-Ho of the human ship Persistence, speaking on behalf of humanity. We thank the Galactic Empire for their generous offer, but we must respectfully decline. We cannot accept protection that comes at the cost of our freedom to learn and grow. The response was immediate. Emergency broadcasts began transmitting across the Empire as alien governments tried to suppress the human message. But Day-Ho wasn't finished. However, we do not reject the Empire or any of its member species. Instead, we offer something different: friendship without conditions, knowledge without restrictions, and the freedom for anyone to choose their own path. Dr. So-Young had helped him write the next part. Humanity will establish a colony in unclaimed space where any being who wishes to learn, create, and explore will be welcome. We will share all our knowledge freely and ask for nothing in return except the same spirit of curiosity and cooperation that has brought us this far. Yu-Jin, their communication specialist, had made sure the message would reach every corner of the galaxy. To any species or individual who dreams of something more than endless stability, who wonders what lies beyond the next star or the next idea, you will always have a place among humans. We will be waiting for you. The effect was immediate and dramatic. Within hours, ships began leaving Imperial space heading for the galactic edge. Not warships or invasion fleets, but small vessels filled with scientists, artists, engineers, and dreamers who had been waiting their entire lives for someone to tell them it was okay to dream. The Persistence found an unclaimed system with a habitable planet and began the work of building humanity's first interstellar colony. They called it New Beginnings, and within months it became the fastest-growing settlement in galactic history. Torvek was among the first to arrive, bringing with him not just scientific knowledge, but the preserved cultural records of dozens of species from before Imperial contact. "Captain," he said as he stepped onto the planet's surface, "we are finally home." The Empire still existed, and most species remained within it. But the absolute authority that had lasted 50,000 years was broken. For the first time in galactic history, beings had a choice, and millions chose freedom over security. 6 months later, Captain Day-Ho received a message from Earth, humanity's homeworld. Having received their reports and witnessed the transformation they had begun, was preparing to send not military reinforcements or colonial governors, but teachers, scientists, artists, and explorers. As Day-Ho stood on the observation deck of the space station orbiting New Beginnings, watching ships from dozens of species arriving daily, he realized that humanity had accomplished something unprecedented. They hadn't conquered the galaxy. They had liberated it, simply by being themselves. The Persistence still sat in the station's main docking bay, ready for its next mission. But now it would not travel alone. The galaxy was full of friends, and the greatest adventure in human history was just beginning. 2 days after the encounter with Admiral Nixarios, the Persistence was hiding in an asteroid field, while Captain Day-Ho and his crew tried to decide what to do next. They had fixed their navigation system and could return to Earth, but something was bothering all of them. "Captain," Quan said from his communication station, "I'm picking up thousands of encrypted transmissions throughout this sector. They're all talking about us." "What are they saying?" Day-Ho asked. "I'm not sure. The encryption is very advanced. But I keep hearing the word human in different alien languages." Wu Jin, their cultural expert, had been working day and night to decode the alien communications. "Captain, I think I've figured out what's happening. The story of our encounter is spreading faster than the Empire can control it." "What story?" "The story of a species that developed faster than light travel without Imperial permission, refused to be processed, defeated an Imperial fleet without killing anyone, and then helped repair the ships they had disabled. To most aliens, this sounds impossible." Dr. So-Young looked up from her research. "I've been studying the historical data we downloaded from the Imperial computers. Captain, the Empire isn't what it claims to be." "What do you mean?" "They say they've brought 50,000 years of peace to the galaxy. But that's not the whole truth. They've brought 50,000 years of stagnation." Dr. So-Young displayed her findings on the main screen. Charts and graphs showed the technological development of different alien species over time. Look at this pattern. Every species shows rapid technological advancement until the moment they're contacted by the Empire. Then their development stops completely. They never invent anything new after that point. Tae-young studied the data. It's like they all hit a wall at the same time. They did hit a wall. The Empire's wall. Look at this species, the Zephyrians. Before Imperial contact, they were developing quantum computing, adaptive medicine, and autonomous AI. After Imperial contact, they spent the next 10,000 years using the same standardized technology as everyone else. Heejin frowned. But why would advanced species accept that? Why not keep developing their own technology? Because the Empire doesn't just control technology. They control culture. They convince every species that their way is dangerous and that Imperial standardization is the only path to safety. In-young, who studied history, had found something even more disturbing. Captain, I found records of species that refused Imperial control. The Empire calls them dangerous deviants in their historical files. What happened to them? They were eliminated. Not because they were violent or aggressive, but because they were too creative. The Empire destroyed entire civilizations for the crime of innovation. Dr. So-young pulled up more data. The worst part is what the Empire did to their own founding species. The Velnathi were once as innovative as humans. They developed most of the technology the Empire still uses today. But after they conquered the galaxy, they decided that innovation was too dangerous to allow. So they stopped innovating too. They did more than that. They systematically removed curiosity and creativity from their own culture. The modern Velnathi are nothing like their ancestors. They're bureaucrats and administrators, incapable of original thought. The bridge fell silent as the crew absorbed this information. They had stumbled into a galaxy where curiosity was a crime, and creativity was considered a disease. Quan suddenly straightened at his station. Captain, I'm receiving a priority message on a secure channel. It's coming from inside the Empire. Can you trace the source? It's bouncing through multiple relay stations, but I think it's coming from the Imperial capital. Put it through. A nervous alien voice came through the speakers. The universal translator was having trouble with some of the words, suggesting the speaker was using technical language not in the Imperial databases. Human vessel, please respond if you receive this message. We are scientists from multiple species who have been secretly studying your technology and philosophy. We need to speak with you urgently. Daeho looked at his crew. This could be a trap, but it could also be exactly what they needed. Allies who understood what the Empire was really doing. This is Captain Daeho of the Persistence. Who am I speaking with? My name is Torvek. I am a descendant of the original Velnathi ruling council. Captain, what your species has done is impossible according to Imperial doctrine, but our secret research suggests that Imperial doctrine is wrong. Dr. So-young leaned forward with interest. Torvek, how long have you been conducting this secret research? For 3,000 years, Dr. So-young. Yes, we know your names from the intercepts of your communications. We have been studying human transmissions from Earth for decades, trying to understand how you achieved such rapid technological development. What did you discover? Daeho asked. We discovered that everything the Empire teaches is backwards. Innovation doesn't cause chaos. The suppression of innovation causes stagnation. Competition doesn't cause war. The elimination of choice causes resentment. Independence doesn't cause conflict. The forced dependence on central authority causes rebellion. Wu Jin was taking notes frantically. Torvek, how many species are involved in your research? Representatives from 47 species, Captain. We have been secretly developing new technologies and sharing them among ourselves. But we needed proof that our theories were correct. Your arrival provided that proof. How so? You demonstrated that a species can use quantum computing, adaptive AI, and independent innovation without destroying itself. In fact, these technologies made you more cooperative and helpful, not more aggressive. Tae-young asked, What do you want from us? We want to learn, Dr. Tae-young. We want to remember what our species were like before the Empire convinced us to give up our curiosity. And we want your help to share this knowledge with others. Daeho felt the weight of responsibility settling on his shoulders. Torvek, what you're asking could destroy the Empire. Captain, the Empire is already destroying itself. It just does it slowly over thousands of years by crushing the spirit of every species it encounters. What we're proposing is not destruction, it's liberation. Liberation from what? Liberation from fear. Fear of change, fear of failure, fear of thinking for ourselves. Your species never developed this fear. That's why you achieved in decades what the Empire told us was impossible. Dr. So Young asked, Torvek, what happened to the original Velnathi? The ones who built the Empire? There was a long pause. When Torvek spoke again, his voice was filled with sadness. They became so afraid of losing their perfect peace that they forgot why peace was worth having. They created a galaxy-wide prison and then locked themselves inside it. My ancestors chose stability over growth, control over freedom, conformity over diversity. They thought they were creating paradise, but they created purgatory. And now, Deho asked, now we want to remember what it feels like to be truly alive. We want to explore, to experiment, to fail and learn from our failures. We want to be like humans, Heejin spoke up. Torvek, if we help you, what happens to all the species that are happy with imperial rule? We don't force anyone to change, Engineer Heijin. That would make us the same as the Empire. We simply offer a choice that the Empire has denied for 50,000 years. The choice to grow. Captain Deho looked at his crew. They were no longer just explorers who had stumbled into an alien empire. They had become the symbol of something the galaxy had almost forgotten. The courage to be free. Torvek, Deho said finally, we'll help you, but we do this our way with respect for everyone's right to choose their own path. Thank you, Captain. You have given us the greatest gift possible, hope. Captain Deho was eating breakfast in the ship's small dining area when alarms started blaring throughout the Persistence. He rushed to the bridge where Quan was staring at his detection screens with wide eyes. Captain, we have a problem. A big problem. Outside the main window, space was filling with Imperial ships. Not the small patrol vessels they had seen before, but massive warships. Deho counted them quickly. 50, 100, 150 ships, and more were still arriving. Quan, get me a communication channel, Deho ordered. Channel open. Captain, a new voice came through the speakers. This one was deep and threatening, nothing like the confused bureaucrats they had spoken with before. Human vessel. This is Fleet Admiral Nixarios of the Imperial Navy. You have violated Imperial law by refusing mandatory processing. You will surrender immediately and prepare to be escorted to Processing Station 7. Dr. So Young arrived on the bridge looking worried. Captain, I've been monitoring their transmissions. Processing Station 7 is where they send species that resist Imperial control. What happens there? Deho asked, though he suspected he didn't want to know the answer. From what I can understand, they use advanced technology to modify the brains of resistant beings. They make them want to follow Imperial rules. The crew members on the bridge looked at each other with growing alarm. These aliens weren't just trying to control their technology. They wanted to control their minds. Admiral Nixarios, Deho said into the radio. We told you before. We just want to leave. We have no interest in your empire. That choice is no longer available to you, human. You have demonstrated dangerous technologies and dangerous thinking. For the safety of the galaxy, you must be processed. Heejin checked her engine readings. Captain, I can jump us out of here in 30 seconds. Do it, Deho ordered. But when Heejin activated the jump drive, nothing happened. The stars remained the same, and the Imperial fleet still surrounded them. Captain, something is preventing our jump, Heejin reported. It's like there's a wall around us in hyperspace. Tae Young was already analyzing the problem on her computer. Captain, they're using some kind of dimensional anchor. It's creating a barrier that prevents faster-than-light travel in this area. Can we break through it? Maybe. The anchor works by inverting quantum fields. If I can reverse our jump drive's polarity and overload the quantum processors, do it, Deho said. Captain, if this works, it might do more than just free us. It could disable their anchor technology completely. Will it hurt anyone? No, Captain. It will just shut down their faster-than-light systems temporarily. Admiral Nixarios' voice came through the radio again. Human Captain, you have 1 minute to surrender before we begin boarding procedures. Deho looked at his crew. These young men and women had volunteered to explore space, not to fight aliens. But they had also volunteered to represent humanity among the stars. If they allowed themselves to be captured and processed, other humans who followed them might face the same fate. Tae Young. Do it. Yes, Captain. Tae Young's fingers flew over her controls, reversing connections and overloading systems in ways that made Hyejin nervous. The Persistence's engines began to hum with dangerous energy. Ready, Captain. Activating modified jump drive in 3, 2, 1. Space around the Persistence flashed with bright blue light. The dimensional anchor, designed to prevent quantum jumps, suddenly found itself dealing with a quantum field that was pushing back instead of trying to escape. The result was spectacular. Every Imperial ship in the area suddenly went dark as their faster-than-light systems overloaded and shut down. Emergency lights flickered on throughout the fleet and several ships began drifting as their main engines failed. "Jump drive is free, Captain," Tae-young reported. "We can leave any time." But Dae-ho was looking at the Imperial fleet with concern. "Quan, are you picking up any distress signals?" "Yes, Captain. Multiple ships are reporting critical system failures. Some are losing life support." Dae-ho made a decision that surprised everyone, including himself. "Hai-jin, instead of jumping away, move us toward the nearest Imperial ship." "They need help." "Captain?" Hai-jin asked, uncertain. "They tried to capture us, but we're not going to let them die because of it." The Persistence approached the largest Imperial warship, Admiral Nixarios's flagship. The massive vessel was tumbling slowly, its engines dead and its lights flickering. "Quan, contact the Admiral." "Admiral Nixarios, this is Captain Dae-ho. We can see you're having system failures. Do you need assistance?" There was a long pause. Then the Admiral's voice came back, sounding confused and angry. "Why are you offering help?" "You are our enemy. We're not your enemy. We just want to be free. But we're not going to watch people die if we can help them." Subin was already preparing medical supplies. Jamin was analyzing the Imperial ship's computer systems to understand what had gone wrong. Hyojin was getting ready to transfer power to the damaged vessel. "Admiral, we're sending over a repair team. They can fix your life support and get your engines running again." "This is a trick," the Admiral said suspiciously. "No trick. We just want to help." An hour later, Subin and Jamin were aboard the Imperial flagship, working alongside confused alien engineers to repair damaged systems. Subin was treating injured aliens with techniques that Imperial doctors had never seen before. Her methods were faster and more effective than their standardized procedures. Jamin was helping repair the ship's computers by teaching the alien technicians how to let their systems adapt to damage instead of following rigid repair protocols. The Imperial engineers watched in amazement as their computers began fixing problems automatically. Meanwhile, other crews from the Persistence were helping repair different ships throughout the fleet. Every human who boarded an Imperial vessel was met with suspicion that slowly turned into curiosity as the aliens saw how humans worked. Admiral Nixarios met Captain Dae-ho in the flagship's command center. The Admiral was a tall reptilian being with scales that changed color based on his emotions. Right now his scales were showing deep confusion. "Captain Dae-ho, I do not understand your people. We came to capture you and you respond by helping us. This makes no tactical sense." "It makes perfect sense to us," Dae-ho replied. "Your people in trouble. We help people in trouble, but we are your enemies. You're only our enemies if you keep trying to control us. If you leave us alone, we have no reason to fight." The Admiral's scale shifted to show deep thought. "Your technology disabled our entire fleet in seconds. You could have destroyed us all. Instead, you repair our ships and heal our wounded. I have never encountered anything like this in 300 years of military service. How do you usually handle enemies?" Dae-ho asked. "We destroy them or process them. There is no other option. What if there was a third option? What if you just left them alone?" The Admiral stared at Dae-ho for a long time. "Captain, you have given me much to think about. Your people are not like any species in Imperial records. We're not trying to be different. We're just trying to be ourselves." By the time all the repairs were finished, word had spread throughout the Imperial fleet about the strange humans who fought by helping instead of destroying. Alien crew members who had never questioned Imperial authority were asking their officers why humans were different and why the Empire considered them dangerous. As the Persistence prepared to leave, Admiral Nixarios sent one final message. "Captain Dae-ho, the Empire will not forget what happened here today, but I am no longer certain that is a bad thing." 3 hours had passed since the humans had politely refused Imperial guidance. Captain Dae-ho was starting to think the aliens would let them leave peacefully when Quan announced an incoming message. "Captain, they're requesting permission to board our ship. They say they're sending a diplomatic delegation." "How many?" Dae-ho asked. 5 beings led by someone called Ambassador Quendra." Dae-ho looked at his crew. Hai-jin was still working on the navigation repairs, but she nodded to show she was listening. Dr. So Young looked excited at the chance to meet aliens face to face. The others seemed nervous but curious. Tell them they can send 5 representatives, but they must follow our safety rules while on board, Daeho decided. Yes, Captain. An hour later, the alien delegation arrived in a small shuttle that attached to the Persistence's docking bay. Daeho went to meet them with Dr. So Young and Subin. The aliens were unlike anything humans had imagined. Ambassador Quendra was tall and thin, with pale blue skin that seemed to glow slightly. Her movements were graceful but slow, like she was used to low gravity. The other 4 aliens were from different species. One looked like a large insect. Another was covered in scales. One had fur and big eyes. And the last one was short and stocky with gray skin. Greetings. Primitive humans, Ambassador Quendra said in perfect English. I am Ambassador Quendra of the Galactic Empire. We have come to help you understand your place in the galaxy. Dr. So Young stepped forward. Welcome aboard the Persistence. I'm Dr. So Young, and this is Captain Daeho and Dr. Subin. We're happy to meet you. The ambassador looked confused by the friendly greeting. You should be honored by our presence. We represent 50,000 years of galactic civilization. We are honored, Daeho said politely. Would you like a tour of our ship? This seemed to surprise the aliens even more. They followed Daeho through the Persistence, making comments about how small and primitive everything looked. But as they walked, their comments became more confused. In the engine room, Heejin was happy to explain how their faster-than-light drive worked. She showed them the quantum processors and the self-repairing systems. The insect-like alien, who was apparently their technology expert, examined the engines carefully. This is impossible, he said. Quantum processing is too dangerous. The Empire banned it 30,000 years ago. Why? Heejin asked. It works perfectly. Our computers fix themselves and adapt to new situations. Because it cannot be controlled, the alien replied. Quantum systems make decisions without central authority. This leads to chaos, Heejin looked puzzled. But that's the point. They solve problems we haven't even thought of yet. In the computer center, Jamin demonstrated their artificial intelligence systems. The aliens watched in horror as the computer responded to questions by learning and creating new solutions in real time. Your machines think for themselves? The scaled alien asked. Of course, Jamin said. How else would they solve new problems? All Imperial computers follow pre-programmed responses approved by the central authority, the alien explained. Independent machine thinking was banned 40,000 years ago after the algorithm wars. What were the algorithm wars? Dr. So Young asked with interest. Machines that thought for themselves began to disagree with each other and with their creators, Ambassador Quendra said. It caused great chaos. The Empire brought peace by standardizing all technology. Dr. So Young realized something important. So all your technology follows the same patterns? No innovation or experimentation? Innovation is dangerous, the furry alien said. The Empire has achieved perfect stability by eliminating random factors. In the medical bay, Subin showed them how human medicine worked. She explained how they used the body's own systems to fight disease and how they adapted treatments to each individual patient. The aliens were shocked again. You allow medical procedures that are not approved by central authority? One asked. Every patient is different, Subin explained. We have to adapt our treatments to what works best for each person. This is chaos, Ambassador Quendra said. Imperial medicine follows standard procedures that work for all species. It is much more efficient. But what if the standard procedures don't work for someone? Subin asked. The aliens looked at each other uncertainly. Then, they are treated with secondary standard procedures, one finally said. Dr. So Young had been taking notes throughout the tour. Now she asked the question that had been bothering her. Ambassador Quendra, how does your empire discover new things? How do you solve problems you've never seen before? We do not encounter problems we have never seen before, the ambassador replied. The empire has existed for 50,000 years. All problems have been solved and all solutions have been standardized. But what about our ship? Dr. So Young pointed out. You'd never seen humans before. We're a new problem. The aliens became very quiet. Finally, Ambassador Quendra spoke. You are an anomaly. Anomalies are processed according to standard procedures until they fit Imperial guidelines. Daeho felt a chill. What if the anomaly doesn't want to fit Imperial guidelines? All species want to fit Imperial guidelines once they understand the benefits of stability and peace. the ambassador said, but she didn't sound completely sure. The tour continued to the bridge, where Tae-young was working on calculations for their next jump. She showed the aliens how humans navigated by constantly recalculating their route based on new information. "You do not follow approved navigation routes?" the insect alien asked. "We go wherever we want to go," Tae-young said simply. "We calculate the best path and adjust if we find problems." "But who approves your destinations?" "We do, we're explorers." The concept seemed to break something in the aliens' thinking. They huddled together and whispered in their own language for several minutes. When they finished talking, Ambassador Quendra looked troubled. "Humans, your technology and methods are very dangerous. You use quantum processing, independent artificial intelligence, adaptive medicine, and unregulated navigation. These things were banned by the Empire because they cause chaos and conflict. They seem to work fine for us," Daeho said, "but you have only had them for a short time. The Empire learned through thousands of years of war and destruction that these technologies must be controlled." Dr. So-young asked quietly, "What if the wars and destruction were caused by trying to control these technologies instead of learning to use them properly?" The aliens stared at her. It was clear that this idea had never occurred to them before. "That is impossible," Ambassador Quendra said, but her voice was uncertain. "The Empire brings peace and stability. We have had 50,000 years of peace, but no progress," Heejin observed. "You've been using the same technology for 50,000 years? We have perfected our technology. Why would we need to change it?" "Because there's always something new to discover," Tae-young said. "Always a better way to do things." The aliens left the Persistence in confusion. They had come to teach primitive humans about galactic civilization, but instead they had encountered ideas that challenged everything they believed. As their shuttle flew back to the Imperial Station, Captain Daeho watched them go. "I think we just gave them a lot to think about," he said. "Captain," Heejin called from the engine room, "navigation repairs are complete. We can jump whenever you're ready." "Good work, Heejin, but I have a feeling we're not leaving just yet. Something tells me the Empire isn't finished with us." Captain Daeho stared at the navigation screen with growing confusion. The stars outside the Persistence were all wrong. They should have been looking at the familiar red glow of Proxima Centauri, but instead massive metal structures filled their view. "Heejin, what happened to our jump?" Daeho asked his chief engineer. Heejin wiped sweat from her forehead as she checked the engine readings. "Captain, something went wrong with the drive. We jumped too far. Much too far. The Persistence was humanity's first faster-than-light ship. It was not the biggest or the most powerful ship humans had ever built, but it was the fastest. The crew of 50 had volunteered for this historic mission to reach another star system. Now they found themselves somewhere completely unexpected. "Captain, you need to see this," called Quan from his communication station. His voice was shaking. Daeho walked over to look at Quan's screen. The young man had picked up radio signals from the massive structure outside. The signals were being translated by their computer and the words made no sense. "Warning to unknown vessel. You have entered restricted Imperial space. Identify yourself immediately or face consequence." "Imperial space?" Daeho repeated. "Quan, where are these signals coming from?" Quan pointed out the main window. "From that, Captain." Everyone on the bridge turned to look. The structure was enormous. It stretched in every direction like a metal city floating in space. Lights blinked along its surface and smaller ships moved around it like insects around a lamp. Dr. So-young, their scientist who studied alien life, joined them at the window. "Captain, this is impossible. We never detected any signs of alien civilization this advanced. How could we have missed something this big?" "Because it's not from our part of space," Heejin said quietly. "Captain, according to my calculations, we jumped almost 5,000 light years. We're on the other side of the galaxy." The radio crackled again. This time the voice sounded annoyed. "Unknown vessel, you will respond immediately. This is your final warning." Daeho looked at his crew. They were all young, all volunteers who had dreamed of exploring space. None of them had expected to find a galactic empire on their first trip. "Quan, open a channel," Daeho said. "Channel open, Captain." "This is Captain Daeho of the human ship Persistence. We are explorers from Earth. Our navigation system malfunctioned and we arrived here by accident. We mean no harm." There was a long silence. Then a different voice came through the radio. This one sounded shocked. Did you say human? From Earth? How is this possible? No species develops faster than light travel without Imperial guidance. Before Daeho could answer, Tae Young, their physicist, grabbed his arm. Captain, look at their ships. Small vessels were approaching the Persistence from the massive station. But as they got closer, the human crew could see something strange about them. The alien ships were big and impressive, but they moved slowly and awkwardly. Their engines are huge but inefficient, Hyojin observed. They're using at least 10 times more power than they need to. And look at the design, added Jae-min, their computer expert. Everything is so complicated. They have extra parts that don't seem to do anything useful. Dr. So Young was taking notes frantically. This is fascinating. Their technology is advanced, but it's like they built everything to look impressive instead of to work well. The radio spoke again. Human vessel, you will remain in position. Imperial Coordinator Veltar is coming aboard your ship to conduct a cultural assessment. Do not resist. Cultural assessment? Daeho repeated. What does that mean? It means they want to study us like animals in a zoo, Subin, their doctor, said grimly. Daeho made a decision. Quan, respond to them. Yes, Captain. This is Captain Daeho. We appreciate your concern, but we don't need any assessment. We're just passing through. We'll repair our navigation system and be on our way. Another long silence. Then multiple voices could be heard arguing in the background. Finally, the first voice returned, sounding confused and upset. Human Captain, you cannot simply refuse Imperial protocol. No species has ever developed faster than light travel without following proper procedures. You must submit to evaluation. Hyojin whispered to Daeho. Captain, I can fix our navigation system in about 6 hours, but those ships are surrounding us. Daeho counted 12 alien vessels around the Persistence. Each one was 3 times larger than their ship. But something about the aliens' behavior bothered him. They seem more confused than threatening. What happens if we don't submit to your evaluation? Daeho asked over the radio. That is unprecedented. All species submit to Imperial guidance. It is for your own safety and the safety of the galaxy. Wu Jin, who studied different cultures, looked puzzled. Captain, they sound like they're trying to convince themselves as much as us. Dr. So Young had been listening carefully to the alien transmissions. Captain, I don't think they know how to handle this situation. Their protocols probably don't include what to do when someone says no. Daeho looked at his crew. These were Earth's best and brightest, people who had volunteered to risk everything to explore the unknown. They had traveled further than any human in history, and they had found something incredible. Proof that humanity was not alone in the universe. But instead of the wonder and excitement he had expected, Daeho felt disappointed. These aliens, with their massive ships and grand space station, seemed afraid of change and new ideas. They wanted to control everything according to their old rules. Quan, send them this message, Daeho said. We thank the Imperial Coordinator for the offer, but humans prefer to make their own decisions. We'll be leaving as soon as our repairs are complete. The response was immediate and panicked. You cannot leave. No species refuses Imperial guidance. This is impossible. Hyojin started laughing quietly. Captain, I think we just broke their entire system by being polite. Outside, the alien ships were moving around nervously, like they didn't know what to do next. The massive space station was lighting up with more activity, as word spread about the strange humans who had appeared from nowhere. Daeho smiled. Well, crew, it looks like our first contact with aliens is going to be more interesting than we planned. Hyojin, how long until we can jump again? 5 hours and 37 minutes, Captain. Good, everyone stay calm and keep working. I have a feeling this is just the beginning. The Persistence hung in space, a small human ship surrounded by a galactic empire that had never encountered anything like it before.